Just to go back to various, because of course what's interesting, because I remember reading about your grandma, and you say that, you know, she liked dancing naked on the beach.
Oh yeah.
So you've got all this in your imagination, your mind, and of course where you are, that is, you've got nowhere to put that.
Yeah, and I think for me also, and I still am an avid reader. So my escape was books. Mm-hmm. My escape was literature and speaking to my mum and knowing that there was something other than this tiny, narrow experience, which made me despise it even more, I think, actually, because I was like, this is all so sort of low level, kind of just has to be done, and then, you know, it's like a job getting through this bit of my life. I felt like I was in a waiting room for waiting to get on with the rest of my life. And then when I was 15, the Clash and the Slits came to play in Bury St Edmunds, and that changed my life, like fully, properly changed my life. Ari came on stage and I went, aha! I knew it! I knew you could do whatever you wanted. I knew you could stand on your head and do whatever the hell you wanted. I was right all along. Do you know what I mean? It was like the most amazing vindication for me, seeing the Slits and then the Clash. I remember being filled up with hope and joy and light and fire and passion, and it was everything I'd been waiting for, all in the space of like 2 hours. And we went back to school singing Typical Girls, and we were done, you know what I mean? It's just like the best moment, the best moment. So music filled our house all the time, and it was our escape. You know, I was telling someone the other day about when Songs in the Key of Life came out. Do you remember it had that little book in it? I had that little book, and I had that little book, and I used to listen to, probably why I'm deaf in one way is now, but I used to listen to stuff that I loved with my ear on the speaker, because I wanted it was like food to me. I wanted every breath and moment and little wah-wah and whatever it was happening. I needed to hear it and absorb it and know it in my bones, you know, because again, it was just the elevation of that took me out of the mundanity of some idiot trying to fight me because I look different to her, or some stupid teacher at school giving me crap, or not being little and blonde and all the things that I thought I was meant to be but was never going to be. It elevated me out of that. It uplifted me and took me to the rest of the world where I fully expected my people were waiting for me, whoever those people were going to be. But I always had this feeling that there was a tribe out there that I could find and meet.
And you started to see them on stage first of all, didn't you?
I started to see them on stage, and that was the Slits. That was a defining moment for me, particularly the Slits, the Clash too, because I was obsessed. But particularly the Slits in terms of me feeling like a young woman, like other young women, and feeling like I was allowed to be the kind of young woman I was, whatever I decided that might be, you know. And that was the first time I'd really had that feeling. And that's why punk was so important for people like me who were like in the middle of nowhere and who felt quite lost, because it gave us an anchor, it gave us a way through, it gave us a path. It wasn't, you know, people are so funny when they talk about punk retrospectively because they see it as being quite an aggressive movement, but really for me it was really loving. And it was really accepting and actually oddly gentle.
It was, yes.
Forgiving.
And intellectual.
And intellectual.
So that would have fed into
intellectual well. and allowed me to start to explore my intellectual side outside of the constraints of an academic parameters.
I love that idea of the tribe, because of course the great moment where you met, for real, not on stage, a member of your tribe. You talk about that really beautifully. Your sister, you know, someone you met, So tell me about that, because that's an extraordinary...
That when we met, we were talking about this the other day. I was with her the other day, and she was like, why did we think we was... Because, you know, when you were that young, she was 17 probably, and I was 18, or she was 16 and I was 17. We were very young. And Sean, my brother, had had a car crash with Gareth Sager, who was Brit Big Panic. And Gareth was drunk, driving the car, and he wrapped it around... Cambridge Circus. In those days, they didn't even move the car for about a month. It was sitting there for weeks. He was going, it's Gareth's car. Do you know what I mean? They used to leave shit lying around. That's how different it was, right? And now it'd be gone within 20 minutes, right? Anyway, Sean broke his leg very, very badly and was in a hospital in town. I can't remember which hospital. And had his leg in a, what do they call the traction for ages, because they put a pin in his leg. So Nana used to go and read to him out of this kind of funny African Bible thing that she had. Don't know why she was reading about the Bible. It was
is that Dorothy, isn't it?
Is it what?
Is that Dorothy?
Dorothy.
Oh, Nana. Sorry, Nana.
Oh, Nana, yeah.
I'm still getting used to that pronunciation, sorry.
Oh.
I've done the white one for years, and
Well,
it's
not
only now
it's actually Nene, and I lazily call her Nana. It means little mother. Anyway, so she used to go and read to him all the time out this book, and then I came there, and I walked in, and she was sitting there, and I looked at her, and we were like, hi, and he went, this is Nana, and I went, oh, you're Nana, because he'd been telling me all about this girl that he'd met who I was going to love, and he'd been telling her all about her sister he wanted her to meet, that he was going to love. And we both were a bit like, yeah, whatever. And we sort of went and we started sort of chatting a little bit. And then, this is how long ago it was, we went out into the hallway in the hospital for a fag. Just like, neither of us even smoked, but it was like social smoking. So we went out for a fag, embassy, do you know what I mean? And came back in and said to them, so we're going to sing together. And they were like, what are you talking about? You don't even know each other. And we were like, no, but we just really... And Nana had been in southern Sweden, in the middle of nowhere, experiencing very similar things, even though her family were very different, all hippie, groovy stuff. Every time they went back to southern Sweden, she felt the same as me, just that sort of weird, isolated thing. And then when you go back to, like, bigger cities and you go to other communities, it's not really fitting in there either, because you're actually... sort of country bumpkin, so there's like a really weird thing of trying to find your place in the world. And we met each other and went, oh, you know what I'm talking about. It was like instant recognition. So we decided we were going to sing together, and literally a month later we were on the road together, and we have been sistering ever since. And
what happened in that month then? How did you
oh, you know what happened? Whose gig was it? I think it was a Slits gig. It was a Slits gig, and I went to see them at the Venue. Remember the Venue? That was a great place. So that was a good gig, the Venue. And I went to the Slits gig and was having a great time. And at the end of the Slits gig, Nana pulled me up from the front stage. She looked down and she went, get, and pulled me up onto the front of the stage, and we just started dancing like fucking lunatics, like swirling about, and everybody was like, wow, they're great. And then Gareth said, do you want to come and do some gigs? So I just joined in, kind of thing, and it just sort of, you know, things just used to kind of happen in those days. I feel like more organically, even though I hate that word, but you know what I mean. Shit just used to happen.
And I guess you sort of invented you know, you would live in a squat, you would have a kind of, and you could find a way to make yourself up, couldn't you?
Yes, exactly, and to kind of finally start your own book and your own story, and I felt like, and I think a lot of people who came to London in those days were waiting to start their story. A lot of people from all these different little places all over the country, you know, biding their time, waiting to be somewhere where they could be a bit free and you know, and breathe the good clean air at the top, you know, and fill up your lungs and start to propel yourself forward for yourself, not for anybody else, not by anybody else's design or shape or intent, but through your own, you know?
Yeah. And it was pure energy, wasn't it? Because I mean, I remember seeing them and not quite knowing what to do with it. You know?
Neither did we.
But it was fabulous, but you didn't know what to do with it. I mean, now, 30 odd years later, you realise that really it was just probably wrong time. Because it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it was pure energy, and I'm so grateful to have had that time in Rip, Rig and Panic, because it kind of formed a really strong bedrock for me about creative life and about how one can best go about exploring your own personal creativity and being brave about it, and also being true to yourself again. And I think that having that as a background, as a kind of cornerstone, has stood me in really good stead, because it's kind of the same as I approach anything. I said to you earlier, someone said to me recently, have you ever trained for anything? I'm such a ridiculous no.
But in a funny sort of way, you had, haven't you?
Or sort of,
because the music, the way that had come into your life, because you knew you needed, that's a form of training,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, just not something. Official. No, I was always getting ready for something for sure, but not realising that that's what was going on, do you know what I mean? It stands me in good stead to this day, you know, when I'm hosting a cooking show, I still go about that with the same intent.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? I want it to be truly me and give it everything that I have.
For those of us who were around at the time, there is nothing more bizarre than seeing you from Rig Rig and Panic present Saturday Morning Kitchen, because it's still the same person.
It's still the same.
And to some extent, we're all relieved that finally there's a world that can allow that to happen. It took a long time. But,
it's taken a long time. It's taken a long time, and I think that what's quite funny for me is that they're like really surprised. They're like, "Oh, you're really good at this." I'm like, "Well, it's performing. It's a gig." Do you know what I mean? And to be good at anything, for me, it's a movable feast. So the same thing that makes you a good singer or writer or actor or whatever it is, or cook, is the same thing. It's about your approximation of your truth and being able to communicate that as best possible. Yeah. So if you do things and you really mean it, and you know what it is you're trying to get across, you're never really going to fall afoul, because it doesn't matter. There is no right or wrong. There is no fucking up, really, because you just got to go with it and go, oops. And you just got to, seat of the pants stuff. I love that.
Yeah. And I guess Nena gave you the opportunity to understand that this energy, this incoherent energy in you way, there was because of her dad, Don Cherry, and everything, who articulates that in the way he is, gave you an opportunity to understand there was a value in it.
Absolutely. Nana, I always tell her this, and she was, "No, shucks." But she really taught me how to free up myself. Meeting her allowed me to become the young woman I needed to be, because I saw another young woman who loved me, who I loved, and she had this education in being free from Don and from Moki, her mother, who was an extraordinary, powerful artist in her own right. And that timing in my life, it couldn't have come at a better time. So I really needed to throw off some sort of shackles of something, and I didn't really know what they were. I'm really aware now, for instance, that young people will be like, "Well, I'm 23. I don't seem to have achieved my full pop stardom yet, so I'm going to go with plan B." I'm like, what the fuck are you on about? Like, or they're like, "I really want to do music." I'm like, "Well, then write a song." Do you know what I mean? I don't really get. There's like this kind of funny, like they want to jump from 0 to Z and nothing in between. It's like the part in between. That's the whole point. Z is not the point. The point is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and getting to Z. You don't want to miss out the bit in between, otherwise you don't know shit. Seriously, ranty McRant. But seriously, it's like missing the entire point of everything. Just like wanting to have the, car or whatever it is they want to buy at the end of everything. They don't understand what that's built upon. It's built upon knowledge and craft and working really hard and knowing your shit and learning how to do something really brilliantly and better than everybody else.